Howdy, everybody. This is the April 13th meeting of SIG Contributor Experience of Kubernetes. We are recording, and this meeting will eventually be posted on YouTube, so act accordingly. Also, please act in accordance with our code of conduct and be excellent to each other. With that, let's go ahead and get started. Thanks for taking notes, Ray. Everybody put themselves in, and if somebody, and then we'll go in here. Our first, let's move into. Let's see, do we have anybody who doesn't already know everybody on this? Avanesh and Joseph, have you met everybody previously?
I mean, I think I know most people, but if not, I'm Joseph Sandoval, and I'm the Emeritus Advisor for Kubernetes 125, been around the community for a long time. And I think work for Adobe, that's about it. But hello to everybody.
Okay, cool. I'm Josh Burkus. I work for Red Hat. I've been around Contributor Experience forever, or as long as there's been Contributor Experience anyway. Ray, you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Ray. Was the 123 release lead. I'm the SIG Docs co-chair. I've been around the community for a little bit. Just like to partake into the with ContribEx and help out with the marketing folks as well.
Okay. Avanesh, Atharva, do you want to introduce yourself? One of the other of you?
Yeah. Hello, I'm Atharva. I've been contributing to the ContribEx for the last 1 year. I'm still in my university, and I recently got a part of the contributors marketing subgroup meeting. Yeah, that's basically me.
Okay. And let's do one more. Madhav?
Hi. My name is Madhav. I work at VMware. I've been in the community for around 1.5 years now, and I mainly try and help out with onboarding, mentoring, and GitHub management for like ContribEx. Other than that, I work largely in like API machine related things. So like it's nice to be here and nice to see you all again.
Okay, great. Just want people to feel included here. So let's go into events. Do we have anybody here who's been working on office hours? No, okay. We'll punt that for now. So community meeting, Laura.
Yep. I left a couple notes in here. So there's a pull request open. It's just the role handbook and some updates to the community meeting page. I just need to move one of the files to a different directory based on Paris's suggestions. So I was actually just in the middle of doing that. So that's almost done. If you want to read more about various roles for the meeting, it should all be now up there and ready to go. We have all the topics for the next meeting. They're going to be the team lead separation proposal, the terms for chairs proposal, and annual reports. So I'm just nailing down who's going to be there in terms of the expert for each topic. But that's pretty much done, all ready to go for this next one coming up. And I unfortunately will not be here for the April meeting. I have a trip I have to take out of town for family. So I am looking for a host, ushers, note takers, and a Zoom owner. The person who actually takes the host key, puts it in, turns on the recording, turns off the recording, all that fun stuff. That all is in the role doc. I posted that up a while ago. I'm going to bump it again right now in the ContribEx Slack channel. And then I'm going to call for hosts later today in the general contributor channel. So if you are interested, I'd love to have a chat with you about that. So that's like the really, really short, fast update. Folks have comments, questions, go for it.
Okay. Have we come up with sort of any ideas for continuously collecting topics for the community meeting?
There is still an issue open. I'm just waiting for people to comment.
Okay. I mean,
Sorry for interrupting. I do have an update. The folks
good.
who are working on basically gathering updates through Slack via like Slack reactions or whatever, they
Mhm.
do have something small working. I don't think they were
Yay.
able to
Good.
join today, but it's nice to hear that like they do have something working. And I like after polishing things up, we should be ready to like open it up, get more feedback, etc. So that at least it's something's moving forward. So that's a good thing.
Okay.
Awesome.
I missed the beginning of this. The idea is that people would tag things in Slack and then we'd be able to collect them later.
Yeah. I assume that we would need like, like only these set of folks can actually, if only these set of folks tag something, only then it actually goes and updates a list of topics, because then like there's high potential for like not related content for us to filter out. But like we can discuss the specifics at a later point. Things are in a more state.
Can you ask them to post on that issue? That way it's all getting tracked in one place instead of kind of a little bit all over the place. That'd be great. Thanks.
Yeah, I'll do that. Thank you.
Cool.
Thank you.
Bob, do you want to take over? Or should I just keep going?
I can take over. Sorry about that. Like I was having conversation with someone and completely lost track of time.
You're good.
And Google's trying to help me right now. So at this point, are we to the?
We just did community meeting.
Okay. Well, honestly, you'll probably be able to give the best update regarding the contributor summit because I wasn't able to make Monday's meeting.
Okay. So yeah, contributor summit, we're continuing to plan. We have social events scheduled. We have the basic idea of the program, which is going to be unconference centric. We are extremely fortunate that Nigel Brown will be able to make it to Valencia, and so he'll be our content lead, which is terrific because we did not have one previously. And we'll get all of that rolling. I mean, it's going to be relatively low key because, like Los Angeles, we're not expecting hundreds of people like we had prior to COVID. On the other hand, registration is up from what it was for Los Angeles. It's higher than it was, substantially.
We're on 60 right now.
Yep. So starting next week, we're going to start. So, I mean, first of all, be aware registration is open and share that out to people. And second, starting next week, we're going to start soliciting attendees for other things. So next week, we'll solicit people to start thinking about topics and to see if they want to schedule SIG meetings.
So actually, SIG literally just asked in Contributor Summit channel if they could schedule a SIG meeting.
Oh, yes. Yep.
Like,
we don't have the schedule up yet. I need to work with Nigel on setting up a form for people to put stuff in. But yes, we definitely want people we have a room. We want people to schedule SIG meetings. So if that wasn't in the last couple hours, you can tag me on that or tag Nigel on that, even better.
I tagged both of you. It literally was like 10 minutes ago or 15 minutes ago.
SIG Docs is planning on having a day-long doc sprint in one of the rooms. And that's it. And we're talking about activities for the party and a bunch of other things. So, as always, we're happy to have volunteers to help, even on the day of, because there's a certain number of shuttling people around. Although, like I said, it's going to be low key, so there's not going to be a whole ton of stuff compared to San Diego.
Now, for the time there, I'll be bringing at least one board game.
Yep. Well, good. Yes, that's going to be one of the activities at the social is board games. So.
Also, semi-related, semi-not related. Hotels are already being booked for Detroit, for North America this year. Something you might want to consider jumping in on sooner rather than later. With that, does anyone have any questions regarding the summit?
So I had more of a suggestion, if that's okay. I don't know if the chairs and tech leads meeting happened yet. I kind of lost track of time there, but this is something that I just it came to my mind right now. Would it be helpful in maybe recommending SIG chairs and tech leads to, go through the help wanted section of their annual reports, as if at all they're organizing a SIG meet and greet at Contributor Summit? Mainly because we might have a good number, and some of those folks might want to, get started somewhere. And I know a few SIGs don't have the bandwidth to do that on Slack. So an avenue like this might actually be helpful to at least one or two people who might want to get started.
Do you know, did we get the space for the meet and greet during the actual event?
Yes. It's still the exact location and time slot is still TBD. It's going to be during one of the lunch periods, but they need to figure out which one. Yeah. So, and that's definitely a good idea. To update the help wanted, if they can. Does anybody want to, such as you, want to volunteer to try to get the word out to the leads, and say, hey, in preparation for Valencia, because we're going to have this, I mean, I guess that would be part of the run up to the SIG meet and greet.
Yeah, and we had the first leads meeting on Tuesday. The second one is tomorrow, so we can mention it. I'd also say send a maybe separate issue to the leads mailing list, or take one of the messages we're going to blast out to everyone, and then just add a little tidbit about that in bold for the leads one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that sounds good. Thank you.
Any other questions, comments regarding Summit or KubeCon planning and all the other fun stuff? Okay, that will take us over to mentoring. Paris, do you have an update here?
Still looking for one person to help us out with group mentoring coordination. I have 2 people now who can do it just sparingly. So I'm looking at both of them as one person. So definitely need at least one more. For folks who are on the line, we do group mentoring for owners' roles like reviewer and approver and things like that. Trying to focus very hard this year on growing more owners, and this is a very good way to do it. So I'm looking for people to help. There is an issue out there that I'll link in the chat. I just sent it out on the mailing list as well. It's like a reminder. So it does have like time commitments and like what you would be doing and things like that. But ideally just acting on behalf of ContribEx with coordinating groups of people in different SIGs to do a thing together for like 3 months. It's the TLDR. Meet Our Contributors is still on hold / getting bundled into office hours with CNCF, which we still need to follow up with Cloud Native TV on to see what's going on there. I'm trying to think of what else. I still need to sunset the docs for the one-on-one buddy program since that was not successful. And I think that's it.
Cool, thank you. Does anyone have any questions regarding mentoring? Okay. That will take us over to,
Wait,
Josh?
one other thing on mentoring, which is I'm going to try next week to start doing asynchronous meetings for the mentoring group. Marty is trying to come up with something that's going to work for asynchronous meetings, just because we did a poll of who could attend a meeting when, and it did not come up with any useful time slots. Like we couldn't even come up with 2 meeting time slots that alternately worked for the overlapping groups of people. So we're going to try to more seriously make asynchronous meetings work.
Yep. Just to remind me, I think I deleted that meeting off the calendar. Is it officially gone?
I have iCal, so it's never gone. So yeah, I have mail and iCal, and
I am sorry.
yeah, aka user error, not you error.
I will check that after this. Okay. That takes us over to community management, which is currently empty. Did anyone have any issues they wanted to raise with this? Okay.
YouTube.
Yeah, that's going to be the one every single time until it actually gets solved.
Yeah, y'all, can I beg y'all on the phone right now for something really quick? YouTube needs automation. It's been a thing for us for about 3 years now. It's one of the highest priority things, in my opinion, because it holds us back from the transparency bullet that we have on our governance. SIG leads, some of them love it, honestly, meaning like some of them love updating their own, uploading their own videos. They think it's wonderful, and
Most
like they
don't.
get some kind of like therapy out of it. I don't know, but like they love it. Others hate it, never update, come to us with like 6 months worth of videos, which obviously for open source isn't like, transparent when you're uploading a video from like last August. So yeah, we really need help in this area. When I mean help, I mean like 40 hours of someone's attention to do this, to like work us up a solution, because all the out of the box solutions don't work for us because we have 40 Zoom licenses. If we only had one, this would have already been done and over with. We could have IFTT'd this into the sun and been done. But like we have 40 keys that have 40 different passwords that touch 150 plus people. It is hairy. But I'm begging y'all on the phone right now to see if you can get the word out, get help. Like Nigel, other people have been like, taking at it like 15 minutes at a time kind of thing, but it's one of those projects that y'all know from an engineering perspective that just needs dedicated time.
Laura has someone that might be able to help. Yeah.
So we're actually building automation for our YouTube channel using Q.
Please. I begged Matt recently.
But Matt doesn't know what we're doing. So
I know, like that's why I was like Matt. I think Matt.
It's actually me and it's me and David. So I will talk with David and figure out where we are and whether we can, take care of both at the same time. So I will ask.
I even said I would
as long as no one minds that we're using Q and maybe Pulumi, just because that's what we have.
Q
As
as
long
in
as no one
Q
minds.
laying?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, I'm gonna find out more later today.
Actually,
I'll let you know what I
you,
find
you and
out.
I should talk out of band about something else related to Q.
That's awesome.
Okay.
Thank you so much,
Yes,
Laura.
I
appreciate
will find out what we're doing and figure out if we can do something about it. And who knows, maybe we can even open
Yeah.
source it and just
Yeah.
kind of like
The
throw it out to everyone and say, here, have
Yeah,
fun.
everybody would love you.
Bye.
the other thing, if for whatever reason that doesn't work, let's file a service desk ticket and just get it done.
Yep. Preach. You're speaking my language.
Yeah. This
Preach.
has gone through at least 10 different hands, and
Yeah.
everyone has tried, and everyone has hit stumbling blocks and then run out of time or been pulled into something else.
So
For
Laura,
what-
you're our last hope right now.
Okay, well,
Last hope.
I will talk about it because I'm sure that will be a happy place for David at least. But
For
I'm not
for-
going to volunteer David unless I talk to him first.
I know.
He probably will not be too happy with me.
for what it's worth, this has also been a big problem for the CNCF in general. So a solution that works for us would solve the problem for them as well.
Yeah.
So
yeah, we've heard from lots of people. They're like, hey, you're doing something. What are you doing? Can we find out? Can we borrow that, please? It'd be nice. So yeah, I'll find out, and who knows, maybe it's something we can knock together and figure out. So
okay.
I even told Matt that I would be down with like a Pulumi blog post on Pulumi site talking about how y'all helped us out. Like that's how like I never say that unneutral stuff, but like I am down. Like if there is a company out there that wants to take this, do it. I will literally write the post for them and sign my name and put it on their brand site. Like
all right, well, I don't want to promise anything like that because I don't even know if it's a good idea to use Pulumi for it. So I'd rather try to figure out what we can do to help everybody first.
We can
let me ask.
Yeah.
Let me ask. I'll figure this out, and we'll figure out if our automation that we're working on can happily make its way your way. So
thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Any other community management stuff not YouTube and Zoom related? Okay. Marketing.
Hi. As a lot of you probably know, Chris was taking on marketing and comms work for the contributor summit in Valencia, but he has some personal stuff going on, so I'm taking over that. So I'm starting to get familiar with the materials that he had been working on. So if there's any contributor summit stuff that needs work, let me know and I'll try to make sure that I'm on top of all of that. Basically, I've got to get some KDev emails ready to go, get some tweets ready to go. I've been kind of watching that anyway, so it should be easy to pick up.
Actually, something that should tweet out if we haven't done so already, and this is also for the main Kubernetes.io one too, the fact that the release is delayed. We are now.
I have a tweet. I actually have a tweet out for that. If someone wants to put an LGTM on it, I'll grab the link right now.
Yes.
Because Mickey, the comms lead for the release, LGTM'd and approved it, but the automation didn't take it. So like it's been approved by the right person, just not in a way that allows the tweet to go. I went ahead and approved it myself, but I still at least need someone else to do an LGTM that'll fix the automation. So yeah.
It just needed so on that case, it was missing the LGTM label.
Yeah, I know.
And just putting /LGTM would take care of it.
Well, he did.
He put them
side by side
on the same
but
line.
It didn't work, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I tried to tell him that, but okay. I will communicate that to him more clearly.
Yeah. I just LGTM'd it.
Thank you. Much appreciated. So that one's done.
Yep. And if something like this happens, you also have the power to approve an LGTM. They just have to be on separate lines.
Yeah, but I thought that you needed someone else to do one of them. Is it not that smart?
It's best like you generally want to try and get two eyes on something, But for something like this, especially when it's timely and a tweet is so small that like
Yeah.
you can just
Okay.
push it through with both.
Noted. Okay.
Two eyes
you.
is nice to have.
All right. Thank you. Any other release stuff we're trying to keep an eye on as well, just to make sure that we're tweeting that stuff?
I will have something for later. The 125 application. It's not done yet, but
Okay.
I'll reach out to you when it's ready.
Other marketing stuff. We've got a couple of surveys going right now. The release cadence survey is still going. And the thing we just started that I wanted to bring up because it's been hard to reach the right people. Taylor is helping with this, which is the survey about renaming Kubernetes master to Kubernetes main. So the renaming of the primary branch of KK. We're really trying to find the groups in our community that actually do a build from Git to see how this is going to affect them and how long it's going to take for them to update their CI/CD to be ready for this. So at this point, we've reached out to all of the usual channels, plus leads, plus conformance, plus CNCF end users. I've reached out personally to people who work at some of the big vendors. If people have other ideas of who might be building from Git and how we could reach them, that would be really helpful, because I have a feeling that we're just not necessarily finding these people to address them.
Okay. So I think we can put together another tweet on that, because we've done 1 or 2 tweets on the release cadence survey, or I guess this is the master main branch rename, so that's separate.
Actually, I have an idea. Poking the SRC and getting their distribution list, because all those those will be the list of people that are building and distributing Kubernetes.
SRC?
Security Response Committee.
Oh, okay.
So those are the groups that are getting the patch notifications ahead of time to build and deploy before CVE is announced.
Okay. Yeah, I'll ask them if they're willing to notify that group, because that would be good. Yeah.
Yeah, I just figured like
Okay.
that's going to be like, those are the people that have like met the criteria to be on the big list of people for that sort of thing.
Okay. Where do I find the list of who's on that committee?
It in K community, if you go to committee, it's
Okay.
like security response.
Cool.
And I don't remember their name, but someone from Red Hat is on it, if you want to ping them internally.
The things I can think of on that are just Twitter and the Slack bot, which are not going to get the level of specificity that could get. So sounds like a good plan.
Yeah, for this one, the target audience is very specific. Is the hard part.
Yeah.
And honestly, probably a lot of the people in that target audience don't pay attention to Twitter.
I'm sure. Always an issue. It's useful, but not specific.
Different spheres.
Yeah. I'm sure there's other stuff that I should be talking about here, but I don't know what it is right now. So
It's all good. Does anyone else have any questions, comments for comms? Okay, that will take us to docs. Eric, do you have an update here?
I don't really have a whole lot of stuff to update on this week, except that my phone's very noisy. I think the last of the pull requests that I had queued up is kind of like almost through all the way, and which means that I'll start working on a few others. I think I've got a couple other big ones to do, and then we have the big one that we were going to work on.
Is that moving on to the next phase with the like e-learning module?
Yes, the e-learning module. That's what it was.
the tutorial, the taking the new
Right.
contributor workshop and turning it into a course for the contributor site.
Yes. So yeah, I think I have a couple more documents to go through in the existing contributor guide, and then we'll be ready for that. So that should be happening. That should be starting probably in a couple weeks. So yes.
Nice.
Yeah. All right. That's all I got.
Yeah. For what's I think the only thing left on the other PR is fixing some markdown links.
Okay. Yeah. There was I ran into an issue converting those things back and forth from Google Docs, and it just screwed up a bunch of stuff that I was too lazy to check. And I'll be better in the future.
So as a FYI,
Mhm.
Google Docs now has like direct markdown support.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I think the other problem was that when my Aaron, the guy I was working on him with, when he did the conversion, he like copied and pasted them from the website instead of importing markdown. So they got all of the extra like Hugo generated links in them and stuff. And it just, I don't think there was any markdown converter in the world who could have managed that properly. But yeah, it'll be better in the next round. Will be better.
Cool. Well, thank you again for all that work.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I don't have any real updates regarding the contributor site. The only thing that's really been going in there lately has been stuff for the summit. Does anyone else have anything sort of going for that? Another potential contractor thing would be someone to actually rewrite the converter to take my terrible bash script and do it that way. And I also just remember that I need to send I said I would send a list to, or an email to the mailing list regarding at least moving the guide to the contributor site and making that its permanent home. So I will write that down for myself. Okay. Does anyone else have any questions, comments regarding contributor docs? Okay, that'll take us over to GitHub management. The big thing in this space is we now have two new GitHub admins, Arnoa and Nabrun. They have taken over for Aaron and Eric. We are still going to be looking for backfilling on the new member coordinator role to help just process those applications. And I don't know the status of Nabrun was working on something to automate the adding and removing of people a lot easier. But yeah, I just don't know its status right now. Does anyone have any questions, comments for GitHub management?
So two things. One regarding the status of that automation. I recall that we found that it can't be fully automated because of there being comments in the YAML files. That's one thing. But there, at least to some amount, it can be automated, which I think there are a few review comments by Nikita that Nabaran should have to work through, and it should be done. That's one thing. The second thing that I wanted to like mainly bring up and ask for feedback is this was something that I brought up in the GitHub management meeting last week, but Christoph asked me to like bring it up here as well. It was around, so last ContribEx meeting, Eric had discussed splitting the help wanted documentation into help wanted by like SIGs and the actual intent of the help wanted label. what I mainly wanted feedback on was, do you think it's time that we introduce a new label which is like more specifically named and like actually communicates the intent of help wanted? Because now help wanted is, every SIG has its own interpretation of it at this point.
To be frank,
And
I'm sorry.
yeah, please go on. Sorry.
My gut take is they probably would not be used. Because we often get complaints on too many labels already.
Yeah. The other question is, do we want 2 levels of like, so right now we have good first issue and then like, help wanted. Do we want those 2 levels, or is good first issue enough? The main reason that I'm even bringing this up is because like during all of the firefighting that was happening over the past 2 weeks, all of the Go changes that caused a few things to break, a few of the SIGs were applying, the help wanted labels. And even though we've made the bot comment saying that, okay, this is what the label is meant for, this is what the criteria should be, this is what the criteria is, those labels are still applied either manually or through the automation. And a few contributors reached out saying that, hey, is this actually something that a beginner like me can take on? Because it doesn't seem that way. And that's basically my intent of like bringing this up. Like this confusion might happen again in the future, and maybe we can do something better about it.
Yeah, that one I'm not sure. I know at this point it really is like the interpretation of per sig, but I think most when they label help it's not like there's an expectation that they're already at least a member and have already have some knowledge of the code base and like that already. Like they are not looking to, being able to provide some context and some guardrails in the issue. There's an expectation that whoever takes that help can do it themselves with just a little bit of light guidance. That is the only thing is, like, I know a lot of the people that jump on those help wanted issues tend to be better suited for like the good first issue ones. That one I'm personally not quite sure on in terms of like how to solve. Does anyone else have thoughts? Okay. Well, I guess like at least, we can try and think about, we can try updating the messaging to be more explicit with, what actually, with what most SIGs believe help is used for. One potential idea, and this would be yet another survey, would be to send something out with like, what do you think help wanted means? And we essentially change the text to be whatever the majority of the contributor base thinks help actually means.
That might be a good idea. I think that's a good idea. I think something about the messaging needs to be cleared up though. Yeah, so
yeah,
that might be the way to do
it. So, I mean, first we need to honestly put that off until after the 1.24 release. We've got too many surveys out there right now.
I would not do it. Yeah. Sometime during 125.
And I guess one of my questions there is, so what happens if we get completely incoherent signal there, where we've got like 5 or 6 different opinions on what help wanted means, and they each have like 15% of respondees? Because I think that's a distinct possibility as a result of the survey.
Honestly, I'm a little, I don't quite know there. One, we could try and basically limit the options to as few as possible. It's just like, help wanted. Do you expect a person to take a help wanted issue to be a contributor with some experience in that area? Or do you expect it to like, try and lock it, like scope each option down. Ray.
Sorry, I just lost the window. I think it's actually good if we know if it is an incoherent signal, just because then we could communicate what help wanted should be. I think that's a good signal if we know that all the SIGs understand that help wanted is different for everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah, it could mean that we could, that maybe the help wanted tag is something that, we get rid of, like, do we need help wanted and good first issue, or, something like that.
I know like a lot of SIGs use help wanted basically signal. It's just like, we need someone to do this, but our current, like the group that is currently, I'd say the regulars don't have time for it.
So it's sort of a like a cry for help out into the the cloud of potential.
Like, I don't think we necessarily have coherent signal even here. I've always taken it that help wanted were issues that required somebody who wasn't one of the existing regular contributors, whether it's because of lack of time or lack of expertise, right? Like, you might have an issue that says, hey, we really need a cryptography expert on this thing. And then that would have a help wanted flag. And that the ones that were actually ready for somebody who was new to the project would be tagged good first issue. Now, those might be tagged help wanted also, but I've never assumed that a help wanted issue was necessarily set up for a more general group to just dive in.
Yeah, that makes sense. So if that's what George just said made sense to me. If that's the case, then updating the wording itself should do, because right now the documentation says it should be easy for new contributors. That can be interpreted in multiple ways. One of them which caused the confusion that I just mentioned. So yeah, if that's what the intent is and that's what we get from the survey as and when it goes out, updating the wording itself should be good.
Yep. Paris, good first issue. It's easy to hack and/or you have a mentor. Help wanted. We need help, and what we can help you with is in the issue. That has generally been my interpretation as well. Yeah, either way, getting some signal on what people think it means might be good, and then we can revise wording and publish better guidance around that. Okay. We are T-minus 9 minutes left. So does anyone have anything else for GitHub management?
GitHub management, no.
Okay. Because I want to make sure we can hit the open items. So release team shadow application.
Yeah, thanks all for giving me the time. I just wanted to kind of raise a couple of things that we are coming through the 124 cycle. We found there's some area of opportunities that we want to try to improve. And serving as the Emeritus Advisor this time around, I started doing some digging in, and in chat, I just kind of dropped just some gender ratios that we had with our team overall. As you can see in our shadow apps, from male to female, we get a lot of men that apply. And, as far as like women applicants, pretty low. And despite that, we were able to kind of like really make sure we had a balanced team. We almost, 13 to 12. So I felt pretty good about it. But then we also start to drop off when we start to hit leads with the team. And so the other area where I think we are facing challenges is representation when it comes from Latin America and Far East. We know that part of it is probably that we have to get better at asynchronous meetings, making it more easier for individuals who are in time zones that meetings may not be very equitable for them. And so that's something that's a work in progress. And so my question to this team, and maybe, just looking for some guidance and some feedback, I think there's ways that you can amplify and help. And I think that's one of my initial asks is, how do we amplify this opportunity when it comes out so that we get more applicants from women? And then the other area was when we go in selecting, I think that's where some of the challenges comes in at. Because in the shadow application, if you look at it, we really don't identify much other than your pronouns. And I think as we go into it, I think that's an area where I really was challenged as the emeritus advisor was, how do I help these leads select? Because there's always these default biases that come in. And so a lot of my conversations are around like, try to, look beyond somebody who looks like you or from my area. Because there has been times where the last couple of cycles, I've had to really work with leads to realize that, you can look outside of just, where you're from, and it's really good for you as a team, as a composition. And then the other piece would be like, is there areas where maybe we could train leads? I know we have like inclusive language as a training. Is there other things that are available as a resource to help these leads be able to understand it? Because I think some of the conversations I had with individuals was the nuances of it, and just really helping them understand, how to like look at this from a diverse perspective, so that we make this team truly really reflective of our community. So it's kind of it in a nutshell. I know it's kind of broad. Ray's going to be our incoming emeritus advisor. I'm working with them, and we both have have a lot of great conversations and around this. And we really want to see if we can keep influencing it. Another net positive coming into 125 out of the 6 leads. 4 of them are women. We may have a potential 5th. So we've got great representation, and we're really trying to see, to make this team really reflective and make it equitable for all. So just in a nutshell, and just would appreciate any feedback and help or guidance that you can provide.
There are definitely some resources available to help there and outlets that we can reach out to. One thing I will say, at least in terms of the collection of that information, you have to be extremely careful. Pronouns are one thing, but if you start asking more questions, it's going to get hairy real quick.
I've been an advocate for bringing back video interviews for shadows. And that's another reason why the video interviews are good, because you honestly find out more about whether somebody might, enhance the diversity of the team than we could with any number of survey questions.
So one of the things that I guess I would bring up is, in general, it's a lot harder for women in the technical space to get the time to come to meetings during the day. And then after working hours, it's very difficult to get the time, especially if you have a family. So part of it is going to also be reaching out to companies and telling them, like, hey, you need to make the space for it. I know this, I've been seeing comments on Twitter, Paris, about like seeing more companies saying like, hey, this is how much time you get to contribute to open source. So I think kind of encouraging that from upstream. So that might be getting your past leads and other people who are on it to encourage their companies to continue to push for this. I just know that like in general, I find that a lot of women in tech don't really realize they can spend the time outside of getting their day-to-day job done, especially if they didn't kind of go through like a more traditional pathway to get there. They don't realize they can spend some of that time during the day to come to meetings like this or be part of it. And they don't realize that that's a benefit to their career. So I'd say like, I think there's partially a educational level on the employer side that needs to get dealt with. And that will also help drive your work. It's going to take time. Obviously, it doesn't happen overnight. It helps a lot if you are in a externally facing role like developer advocates. You're going to find a ton of developer advocates who can pull this off. But that's not necessarily the people that you want all the time. No offense to developer advocates, I'm one, but you get the idea. Like it's just a lot of trying to kind of deal with a lot of these hurdles that you might not necessarily know. And a lot of people who come from a diverse background in general are going to have the same problem. So by dealing with one, you're going to be dealing with all in a lot of ways. So I have a lot of other statements on that one, but I'll leave it at that.
We can continue. We're almost out of time. I wish I had been paying attention to the clock a bit more earlier. But yeah, we can continue this conversation in Slack as well.
Sounds good.
Then Ray, you have a quick thing on the list.
Yeah, it's just from the Slack thread on the SIG ContribEx channel, but the release team shadow reports. Link the issue there as well in terms of publishing or making this public, these available reports. We also have an opt-in on the 125 shadow application as well for this, and I sent that over to Josh to take a look at as well.
Yeah, I think I assigned Josh on the issue to have it take a look at it as well.
Okay, one other thing, I couldn't put this on the agenda because right now Google Drive is locking me out. I'd like to get approval from somebody on Deb's handbook for somebody to be in charge of external mentoring programs. So we can proceed on that. I pasted it into the chat.
Can you in Slack or in chat on the side?
And chat on the side.
Okay, there it is. Since we're just about out of time, that link doesn't have anything. One sec.
Yeah.
It's pull request 6570. Hold on.
Oh, yeah, the URL's a little messed up.
There you go.
Okay. I am just going to drop it into Slack real quick too, so other people can see it more. I will take a look at try and take a look at it later today as well. We are out of time. Does anyone have anything else they want to sort of shout out right now? Okay, then I will see you all around the internet. Later.